Are we live?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Okay, so now I have to delete my statement.
What did you just, oh, were you about to post something snarky in the chat?
Gee,
Do,
what would I
doesn't
maybe
sound
have
like you at
posted?
all. Doesn't sound like you at all. Something in
What
all
what?
caps, perhaps? An all caps 3-word message?
Maybe.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hey, Andrew. Glad you made it.
Andrew, you did make it.
Hey.
I hope that neither hell nor high water showed up.
Indeed. So yes, to our fellow Americans, happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving Eve tonight. Unfortunately, the WWE no longer holds the Survivor Series either on Thanksgiving Eve or Thanksgiving night. So, we'll have to wait until this weekend to see that. It was, it was the Thanksgiving tradition. And then they had to move it to the weekends like all the rest of the fucking pay-per-views.
Or the sporting the sports ball events.
The sports ball events, yeah. It's like, what I loved about the Survivor Series when I was a kid?
I have
Before they
no
moved,
idea, Steve, but I bet you're gonna tell us, ain't you?
well, I mean, just in general, it was just a neat event, because it
What
was a
made it
different
different?
form. Because, well, I'll tell you that in a second. But first,
Okay. Okay.
because it was a different format than other pay-per-views, and also there were only like 4 pay-per-views a year back then. But anyway, so
Old Shives.
it was on. It was on the first few years. It was on Thursday. It was on Thanksgiving night, which traditionally is like a big wrestling night. Like back in the old days, a lot of wrestling companies would run a show on Thanksgiving and it would be like a big show for them. So it kind of comes from that. So it was on Thanksgiving night for the first few years, and then they moved it to the day before Thanksgiving. So it was on the Wednesday of that week. But after like the second year, so they'd only been doing it for like 2 years. The first one was in 1987. They'd been doing it for maybe 2 years. And they started calling it the Thanksgiving Day tradition. You've been doing it for 2 years.
Wait. So it was on the second year that they did this?
It was either it might have been the third year when they said the Thanksgiving tradition, but it's like, you've literally just started doing this. The Thanksgiving Day tradition, the Survivor Series. Anyway, what made it different was originally, and they have since abandoned this format, unfortunately. I wish they would go back to it because it was different. But originally, the concept of the Survivor Series was, instead of just having a typical show with a bunch of, wrestling matches, like you got singles matches and tag team matches, et cetera, and titles up for grabs, the Survivor Series was a series of originally 5-on-5 tag team matches where it was 2 teams of 5, and then I think after 2 years they narrowed it and it was 2 teams of 4. But it was like big teams. It was either a 10 person tag or an 8-person tag, and the entire show was just those matches. They'd have like 5 or 6 of matches, just that were 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 matches. And if you got pinned or submitted or disqualified or counted out, your team didn't lose. You were just eliminated and you had to leave.
Oh, so the teams got smaller.
Yeah. And the winning team was whoever was left if an entire team was eliminated. So hence the Survivor Series, because the survivors of the match are the winners. And 1 year, and I wish they had done, again, this is something they only did for 1 year, but it was such a neat idea. 1 year they did a special match at the end called the Match of Survival, where all the baby faces who had survived from all of the matches previous would face the team of all the heels who had survived in all the matches previous, and it would be like, so the teams weren't equal because of the 1 year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, man, that's got to be like just like a friggin' spider web trying to balance everything out.
The 1 year they did it, there were 3 baby faces and I think 5 heels. So it wasn't super lopsided, but there was still like the advantage was, you know, the heels had more than the baby faces. But of course, the baby face.
How it should go.
But of course, the babyface team included Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. So I'll give you 3 guesses who won. Which team won that year? But
oh, shoot, you could have stopped with Hulk Hogan.
That's true.
Let's be honest.
That's true. Gee, did Hogan win his match? What do you think? It was 1990. What do you think? Did Hogan win his match? But yeah. So anyway, happy Thanksgiving to everybody tomorrow who celebrates. We are carrying on our Thanksgiving Eve tradition tonight by watching an episode of either Star Trek or some other show. Poirot, as we are currently.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I'm talking about the show that we're doing right now, Dana.
No, Steve, you don't understand. Despite the fact that I haven't had school this week, apparently my brain is still fried because I was like, but do we always do a show before Thanksgiving? What if it? And I did manage to stop myself before asking if it maybe fell on a different day. So
everybody has
I'm
those
very
moments.
Proud of myself
Everybody
for
has
catching that.
Caitlin, that is such a great quote because I actually referenced that quote in a script that I wrote today. Caitlin is paraphrasing from a Star Trek movie, from one of the briefer but nonetheless noble and self-righteous Captain Picard speeches from Star Trek Insurrection.
He is a speechifying guru.
How many people does it take, Admiral, before it becomes wrong?
So I also, Andrew, I hope you're referring to like if that's a TV show or a movie. Insurrection is a TV show or a movie or something like that. Mm-hmm. Because I really don't want the Insurrection to be repeated at all.
No. Star Trek Insurrection is the only Insurrection we need. And by the way, Andrew is overselling it a bit. He says it's the best Trek movie. I don't think it's that, but it is criminally underrated. There are a lot of people who consider Insurrection a bad movie. I think Insurrection is a terrific movie.
I thought Wrath of Khan was generally considered the best Star Trek movie.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying Insurrection's not as good as Wrath of Khan.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Wrath of Khan is in a completely different atmosphere. I mean, Wrath of Khan is so much better than Insurrection, but Insurrection is very good. I mean, come on. First of all, this isn't the reason it's good, but this is one of the contributing factors. It speaks to the overall tone of the movie, which I think is a good thing. There's a scene very early on, so you know what you're in for when you're maybe 10 minutes into the movie, 15 minutes into the movie, and you know what you're in for with this movie. There's a scene where Captain Picard, Worf, and Data sing together a Gilbert and Sullivan song. And not like just for fun hanging out in somebody's quarters, like in a really serious situation. Like it's a really serious, like life and death situation. And the solution, the way out of the crisis is for them all to sing a song from the score of the HMS Pinafore.
But which song?
A British Tar.
Okay.
And it works.
Well, of course it does. I mean,
so that's the movie that Insurrection is, and I love it. But there are quite a few Trekkies who do not appreciate it as much as I do. But I am a longtime defender of Insurrection.
Or apparently do not appreciate it as much as Andrew does, even close.
Yeah.
Which seems to be quite a bit.
And yes, Charles Chapman brings up, Undiscovered Country is way better than Insurrection, too. I mean, the two best Star Trek movies are Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 6. And the best TNG movie is, go ahead.
First Contact?
First Contact is also excellent. I would place that probably third place. Either third or fourth place. It depends on how high I'm ranking Star Trek Beyond, because Star Trek Beyond, which is the most recent one, and quite possibly the last of the Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto ones, it is also fantastic. So that one and First Contact are constantly sort of duking it out for the third place spot in my head. But yeah. So anyway, speaking of Star Trek, we're watching Deep Space Nine tonight, and we are watching The Quickening, one of the last episodes of the excellent 4th season. So if you have not queued it up on whatever platform or whatever means by which you will be watching it with us, go ahead and do that and pause it at 0 so we're all ready to go. Oh, and Sean has mentioned a couple of anniversaries in the chat. Sean O'Sullivan. First, he mentioned the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, which, by the way, I just started watching again. I'm way behind. I just started series 3 of the revival, so the second David Tennant season. Last night I watched episode 1 of series 3. Because like I got into it a few years ago and I watched the first season and I thought this is pretty good, then I watched about maybe 2/3 of the second season and I was like, this is pretty good. And then I just kind of stopped watching it. Like, it's not that I decided I didn't like it anymore. I just kind of stopped watching it. So with the 60th anniversary, being now, I figured, well, what the hell, I'll pick it up again. So I've been watching it again. And enjoying it. And today is also the speaking of First Contact, this is the anniversary of the opening of Star Trek First Contact. One of the best
really great
Star
with
Trek
the
movies.
details, because
I didn't know that off the top of my head. The only Star Trek anniversary I know by heart is September 8th, because that's the debut of the original series. And that's kind of sort of Star Trek Day every year. So I know that one. But yes, First Contact, the best of the TNG Star Trek movies.
255 AD. Which one's Siddiq? Alexander Siddiq?
Dr. Bashir.
Okay.
This is a Dr. Bashir episode.
So that's what I was going to figure. I was kind of guessing that, because I'm a really good guesser. Once I have really broad hints, I can guess really well. It's a team effort. Progesterone planet. In this episode? Is that?
I don't really know.
Wow.
There was something else I wanted to say. Somebody mentioned something about Insurrection. Blood Ink. Blood Ink says, I just never understood how it was feasible that Starfleet ever agreed to the evil plot, even with the obligatory bad admiral. It seemed forced. And then Caitlin said, basically, it was originally going to be a more straightforward link to the Dominion War, which we haven't gotten to in Deep Space Nine yet, but is coming up. But the powers that be said it needed to be more standalone. And I've often heard this. In Insurrection, because it's the planet of youth. Yeah. I've often heard this complaint from people who don't like Insurrection. They say they should have made a movie about the Dominion War. I am so fucking glad they didn't make a movie about the Dominion War. Because nothing against the Dominion War, but the Dominion War was Deep Space Nine's thing. That you could watch the Dominion War on TV every week. Why would you want to go to a movie theater and see a completely different set of characters doing the exact same thing that the Deep Space Nine cast was doing on TV? It makes no sense to me at all.
Unless and I'm guessing that most people were not making this argument, but if the Dominion War is such an interesting thing, let that lead into a Deep Space Nine movie.
Right. I mean, and that,
Charles Chapman agrees with me.
Yeah, and I mean, there were certainly storylines they did as part of the Dominion War that probably could have been adapted and made, movie worthy. But they didn't, because Deep Space Nine, Deep Space Nine was just a TV show, which I'm fine with, by the way. There are some Deep Space Nine fans who are like bitter, like, I can't believe they never did a Deep Space Nine movie. I'm okay with that. Like, the ending of Deep Space Nine was quite good. And when we finally get to it, Dana, hopefully you'll think so too. But like,
But I mean, were there Voyager fans who were bitter about? I mean, guessing that Voyager didn't get a movie either.
No, Voyager never got a movie. Yes, yes, there are Voyager fans that are bitter that Voyager never got a movie. Yeah. 255 AD says this is a good point. If they made it, meaning Insurrection, if they made it today, they definitely would have done that. Yeah, because everybody panders to the most ardent, pedantic, canon-obsessed fans of everything now. So, of course, you know, if there
they buy the merch, and that's where like the crazy bucks are.
God forbid we try to grow the audience of anything. We'll just
you do that,
focus narrower and narrower and narrower on the fanatics and the fan base, and who cares if anybody new discovers it? And, you know, anyway.
Anyway.
Oh, thank you, homebody. Well, listen, I mean, my family doesn't do anything the day before Thanksgiving. And I don't have to travel, and I wouldn't travel anyway, by the way.
You have to travel a little bit.
I have to travel like 20 minutes. I have to travel to like 2 towns over. It's literally 2 towns over from where I'm at now.
There you go. Well, I mean, there are other people out on the road. It's not so much. Well, most accidents occur within 10 minutes of home, Steve.
That's true.
So.
That's why I always drive as fast as I can, so I get there sooner, so there's less chance of an accident. I'm not on the road.
So if you get there in 5 minutes, it reduces the likelihood of an accident, right?
Exactly. Yes. If I could get from where I'm at now to my dad's house in 5 minutes, oh boy, I'd be going so fast there wouldn't be time for an accident. I mean, I'd be cooking. I would be cooking.
Or at least
the tires would be smoking.
There wouldn't be time for any pain, that'd be sure.
Yeah, if there was an accident, it would be over quick, at least from my perspective. Yeah, Patrick Smith, a 2-part episode is like a movie. I mean, in certain ways. If you watch most Star Trek 2-parters, I mean, they're not really written as movies. Some of them are, because like with the first Worf episode, the premiere episode of season 4, The Way of the Warrior, that one plays a lot more like a movie because it was originally aired as a 2-hour TV movie, and then it was broken up into 2 parts for syndication. Yeah. But most Star Trek 2-parters are 2 separate parts.
Yeah, R2. Yeah.
And yeah, you can watch them back to back, and the story flows together. But it's not quite the structure isn't quite the same as you would expect from like a typical, you know, like a single 90-minute movie. Anyway. So you have Thanksgiving tomorrow, and then you're going on a little bit of a road trip, right? I'm going to visit
my bestie. Yep.
Yeah.
So like a little road trip, then a longer road trip, and then back to school. Oh God, I need to find like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I need to find a whole bunch of articles for my research project to work, and I haven't I haven't started working on that yet. The idea is that each group has a folder of 10 articles. And so they're groups of 2 and 3. And that each student chooses 3 articles out of the 10. So there's enough that in a group of 3, everybody could choose 3 and there'd still be 1 left over. So nobody gets stuck with just like the last 3 articles. So the catch is there are 8. I've got 24 students. So there's 8 groups in my largest class. So if I have 10 articles, and each group has a different topic. So if each group has a different topic, that means there are 8 topics. And if I have 10 topics per 10 articles per topic, I need to find 80 articles that they are capable on each topic, you know, for divided into these topics that they are capable of reading. And I haven't started yet. Breathing. That's a problem for future data. Oh, well.
Exactly.
I don't know if this is going to happen.
Dana.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Homebody, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you hang in there. Hope things take a turn for the better here in the coming year. 255 AD says people once got really mad at Roger Ebert toward the end of his life because he wrote a review of the Avengers where he was like, who are these people supposed to be? And yes, and I was just going to say, 255 AD with the follow-up, fans were like, you need to watch the others. And Ebert said, I don't want to do homework to see a movie, which I think is a completely valid answer. I mean, I liked the Avengers, and I've liked all the Avengers movies, and I didn't see every single, like when I saw Infinity War and Endgame, I had not seen every single MCU movie leading up to it. I had seen most of them, but I think I still hadn't seen Thor 2. Thor 2 is one of the last ones I got around to seeing because I was like, I don't give a fuck. You know, so I hadn't done all of the homework, but I mean, the thing I liked about Endgame, and I think this was true even to a greater extent of the first Avengers movie, because you're dealing with a much smaller group and the buildup hadn't been as long, you know, up to that first one. I mean, yeah, of course you appreciate it more if you've seen Iron Man and Captain America and blah blah blah, and you sort of you know them from
and
the
blah,
previous
blah, blah.
films and blah blah blah. Very important. Obviously, you appreciate it more, and you have more of a sure footing in terms of who everybody is and you know what their motivations are. But I think the first Avengers movie is written well enough that even if it's your first one and you're going in completely cold, like you can tell what's going on. It's not like you're completely lost. They do reintroduce things, you know. And but honestly, I am with Ebert. I think it's been a while since I read his review of the Avengers, so I can't remember exactly what he said. And I didn't feel like that Avengers movie was inaccessible to people who had not seen the previous films. But in general, I agree with his point. You shouldn't have to do homework to enjoy a movie. A movie should stand on its own, even if it's part of a series. A movie should stand on its own.
Even if it's Endgame Part 2.
Endgame Part 2. Well, here's the thing. You know what I was thinking about the other day randomly? I can't even remember what reminded me of it, but I was thinking about Kill Bill, which came in 2 parts.
Right.
And Kill Bill Part 2, just considered all on its own, completely separate from the first part, is a great fucking movie. Like just all by itself. And even though it is a part 2 and it is a continuation of the previous film, it has its own style, it has its own vibe, it has a different pace, it has just a different feel about it. It's a continuation of the same story, but it's a different movie. It's its own thing, and it's terrific. So
do you think that's why, it's not referred to as Kill Bill Part 2, but as Volume 2? Do you think that ties in?
Well, and what's interesting is like, because it's titled that, and because it is like a 1 and a 2, like you go into part 2, sort of assuming, okay, this is going to be 2 more hours of what it was in part 1. And it's just not. Like it's very different. Same characters and same picking up where the first one left off, but it's just a very different movie, and I think it's a better movie.
So
I like part 1 too, but
you think Volume 2 pretty much scans the same thing as Part 2?
I didn't overthink it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's an interesting. It's different. And like when I think of a continuation of a story, I think of Part 2.
Right.
So
that makes sense. But as we both know, I am usually less specific and less particular in my language about things like that than you are. You pick up on things like that a lot more naturally than I do. Sorry, 255 video. We're going to start watching the episode here in a second. David Coritan says, I'd feel bad for anybody who saw Return of the King on its own. Can you guess which part of that sentence you can stop reading to get my opinion?
I know.
Considering that when we reviewed all 3 Lord of the Rings movies for late seating, and when we reviewed Fellowship and we reviewed Two Towers, I said my review was, okay, this is clearly not for me, but there's a craft involved here. Like there's filmmaking at work, or like I can appreciate it in kind of an intellectual sense and say, well, I don't give a shit about anything that happens in these movies. I don't care about this story. I think this is all really dumb, but it's filmmaking of a high order going on here. Like the people who did this knew what they were doing. And if this is the kind of thing you like, you probably like this kind of thing. Return of the King, I thought, this is a fucking terrible movie. Like just taking my natural aversion to high fantasy off the table. Like it's just a shitty movie. It's just bad. And this is the one that got Best Picture. I mean, I guess they had to at that point. They didn't give it to the first one or the second one because they said, well, we got 3 of these coming and, you know, they're all going to make a ton of money and we'll give Best Picture to the last one. It'll be like the capstone. And then the third one came out and still made all the money in the world. But is such a fucking garbage movie. Fucking Aragorn and his army of fucking ghosts? What the fuck was that?
In the book,
and then they just leave. They leave before the final battle. It's like, no, we don't need you guys anymore. We're only going into the final confrontation with the army of evil. You guys can go. What the fuck? What kind of screenwriting is that? But anyway, Charles, I'm not watching the Hobbit movies. There's no force on earth that could get me to watch those fucking Hobbit movies.
Not even Jason?
No. I mean, well, okay, look, if we did it for the show, I would watch them. I've never refused to watch a movie for late seating. If we did it for the show, I would watch them. But I don't think we're going to watch the Hobbit movies for late seating because we only do movies that are culturally significant. Whoops. David Cedric, no, I wasn't bullied by Tolkien fans. Tolkien fans weren't bullying anybody when I was in school, buddy. Okay. There was a pecking order and Tolkien fans were pretty close to the bottom. Even Star Trek fans were like, thank God I'm not a fucking Tolkien nerd. Yeah. No, I just don't like it. I think it's grossly
also
overrated.
At I think Snake Bit Cat's takedown of, who was it? Scorsese?
Oh, Scorsese.
Yeah, whatever. About how
I mean, he's a genius. I disagree with him about superhero movies, but he is a fucking genius.
But he gets me because he says that, you know, they're not cinema.
Which I mean is kind of what Scorsese is saying. Again, like I feel like he's not giving.
They're not. You know, they're not. They may be movies, but they're not.
But they are not cinema.
They're not films.
This is not why our art form was innovated. Yeah. Anyway, shall we watch this episode of Deep Space Nine?
Let's go for it.
All right. So here we go. Would you like to explain to the people how this works?
You're the one who actually gets to do the countdown. So because this is Steve's channel, he's the one who gets to count us in. So you make sure that you have Deep Space Nine, season 4, episode 24. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. Season 4, episode 20, The Quickening.
Right. Gosh, I'm so glad you said that because I almost called it Quintessence. And I'm like, I don't think that's quite right. That's a different. You
got the right letter for the first letter.
I did, and it's also a fantasy reference. But Quickening and Quintessence are like, you know, different brands. Anyway.
Different brands.
Different
flavors.
Exactly. So anyway, cue up the episode wherever you got it, and then make sure you're at 0000. And then if yours has like ads or something in it, don't sweat it because you can just kind of catch back up with us. You may have to skip a bit of it, but chances are pretty good that you already know what's going on. So like, and if you're not exactly with it, you know, you can use the time code up there to figure out where you're at. And you know, if you need to synchronize back up, that's all good. And we're not going to be like reciting it along with. So if you're not exactly on, it's okay. So get it queued up to 0. And then Steve's going to say 3, 2, 1, play. There's no 0, just play. So when Steve says play, you press play. And then we all watch the episode together. Ta-da!
There we go. Philip Kehoe in the chat with the obligatory Highlander reference. Love to see it.
Indeed.
All right, here we go.
Have you ready, watched Dana? Highlander, by the way?
I've seen the first movie, and I used to watch the TV show when it was on in the 90s, but I didn't see like every episode of it.
Okay. I was gonna say if that was something you like.
Yeah. Were you a Highlander fan?
I haven't seen it. No.
I mean, I'm not like the TV show was pretty good, but the movies, I mean, like like I said, I saw the first movie. It was okay. I've never considered myself like, and they've made like a fucking ton of movies since then. I haven't seen any of the sequels.
Yeah, but you could say the same thing about the car movies too.
The Fast and the Furious.
There you go. I was like, it took me a minute. I'm like, those car movies.
The ones with where it started out, they were street racers, and then somehow they were in space. That's not just Tokyo Drift, but franchise drift. Anyway, all right, you ready?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
My
here we go. Poised. 3, 2, 1, play. I had to yell over you because you were talking during my countdown.
Well, you have plenty of volume. You project very well. Congratulations.
The absolute nerve.
Oh, that, futuristic computer generation imagery.
3D text, it must be the future.
Oh, wow. The worst punishment ever.
I love that they're madder at Quark for this than anything else he's ever done. Like he's like legitimately a criminal.
Capitalist.
He's legitimately a criminal, but they're like, you put ads on shit. Fuck you, man.
Like this, with my mouth.
I just said it. You should have been listening.
He was listening. That's why he started whining. Is it my imagination, or does Aunt Ruth have a beard? Sorry. I really like VeggieTales.
I know. I know.
Ah. Azalea Jane, it's more likely than you think. Oh, we were talking about this. This comes up in, I think, well, unless Jason edits it out, this comes up in an upcoming episode of
in our Ensign's log, yeah, about money, yeah.
Or maybe we talked about it before the show, because again, I don't know these things.
No, I think it was in the show. It was in the show.
Well, it looks like all the fire's been put out. They're doing all right.
What a dump. These people live like this? Oops, I said that out loud.
Everything is brown.
Bring out your dead. I'm not dead. I don't want to go. I'm feeling better. Oh, she don't look good. You're awfully close to me. Bum bum.
You're not fooling anybody. Get in the cart.
David Cedric, she got the Rona. See, that's why masking is so important. Those people on that planet, they just refuse to wear masks. And social distance, they're like, I'm not gonna catch it. It's just the flu. And guess what?
What?
They all got it, and it was really bad.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, social distancing must have been really difficult back in the day when TV was formatted with this aspect ratio, because whenever it's more than one character in a shot, they're all right next to each other so they can fit
up
in the shot. That's why that guy was invading Bashir's personal space in that shot.
Well, I don't understand, because then instead of, they should have just done more cuts. Because then each person gets more focus as well.
Well, yeah, but you don't want the editing to be unduly choppy.
Wah. Just get better editors.
It's just that easy.
Maybe if the pay wasn't crap, you get what you pay for. I have no idea what they pay, by the way. Apparently more than they used to.
Hey. Well, not the editors. The editors are a different guild.
Oh, boy. I would have thought they'd have kind of been, well, no, I guess not. I mean, as a writer, I think of editing as it's part of the process, but I guess not.
David Cedric, I was never deeply into mythology, no. I mean, I have a sort of an interest in mythology, but I'm not super into it. They're a simple but vain people.
And it's shiny. I think this is 24. Me no other. Is it 24?
Yeah,
Steve?
24.
Season 4, episode 24.
The Quickening.
The quickening is people. Yeah, I'm confused how it ignores that they're not warp capable, because they were close. I thought when they got the distress signal, and the fact that it was fractured was in part because they were sort of at the limits of it. I was
Yeah.
guessing.
Well, I think the idea is like because of the Prime Directive, they're not Starfleet. You know, they're not supposed to interfere in the affairs of. They're not supposed to reveal themselves to non-warp capable planets. But whether they're warp capable or not, these people clearly know that there's aliens and stuff. So it's not like they're, you know.
255 AD, we're good. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, that doesn't bother me at all.
I'm Dr. Kevorkian. Yeah, Azalea, I kind of feel that way too. I mean, I like Bashir in this episode, but he is a little judgmental. Like, this is a plague that there's no cure for, and everybody has it. And like they're doing the best they can to ease suffering. And Bashir's like, "Yo, my God, I can't believe it! How dare you!"
Yeah.
Bum bum bum.
Well, from what we saw, Snake Cat, they're providing poison to people who are alert and allowing them to choose when to take it. So it's more that they're providing the method of death, not that they are killing them. They're not taking an active role, but they are simply providing the method.
Yeah, a plague that's devastated an entire population for hundreds of years. I can probably cure it in a week. I love his confidence. I sure hope it doesn't ultimately become his undoing. Me no other. I think they're different diseases. Go quicken, you little bastards.
Weird. I don't see me no others comment.
Isn't this disease that started the Voyager phase? Phage.
It's not.
You don't see it?
Nope.
Really? That's weird. Usually you're the one who can see it, and I'm the one who can't.
Yeah. Yeah, YouTube.
All doctors have God complexes. Whoa, you're super pregnant. My Snake Mountain playset is almost complete.
In fairness, voice gaming, I don't know that they get palliative care. I mean, in the sense, like, you know, psychologically palliative, but I mean, that I don't. He did say that they could do something for the pain, but I think Julian said that their stuff wasn't working. I'm trying to remember. Press the button.
I can press a button on top of a thing. I hope you like scented candles. That's all I have.
Wait a minute. Hang on. But don't they get food at the hospital?
Apparently not. So they have a universal disease, but no universal health care.
Well, no, but like they go to the hospital and they're like, oh, thank you for taking care of us. If we bring everything that you need to take care of us.
Yeah, hope you brought lunch. Mr. I Love the Ants, no, they're aliens who look exactly like humans, which is one of my favorite Star Trek tropes. Something I wish they did more often. In modern Trek, anyway. In classic Trek, they did it all the time,
God, will you shut up? There is not a chance. You don't have it yet. You. Oh my God. Shut up, dude. You don't. No, you don't. Shut your mouth. Do you? Because it didn't work on.
Just a few seconds with my bone healing laser pointer, and you're good as new.
In fairness, I guess. I don't know. Yes.
Congratulations.
And yeah, don't promise what you can't deliver.
All right, I promise not to give false hope.
Whoops, little late for that. Snake Cat, it's more than hope. That's he's operating under the assumption that, oh yeah, I'll be able, because look, I can fix broken bones. And we have, yes, they have, but I mean, sometimes you don't have advanced enough science. You don't have enough knowledge. You don't have enough information. Yet you just.
It's not about whether you deserve
it's
it or
about whether
not.
we can do it or not.
It's about my personal ego. You're a spooky chick.
I mean, you're still gonna die sooner or later. Even if we get a cure, you're gonna die. That happens.
It's one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite episodes of TNG when Picard goes back in time to change something in his past after he dies from like a heart failure, and Q gives him a second chance, and Picard says, and if I change this, then I won't die. And Q says, of course you'll die, just at a later time. And you still don't have a chance.
You think? Andrew, you're not wrong.
I have no idea. I'm glad you could make it, Andrew. Have a good night.
We love you too, Andrew. Glad you're out of the wheelchair.
I love other people's mortality. It's my jam.
O and Q.
Wow.
Toy. Is that like what's his name's teddy bear? I can't. There's Theseus, the teddy bear of Theseus.
Oh, the teddy bear of Theseus. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
There we go.
At what point does he cease being Kukulaka? They're all dead, all of them.
Maybe if you said, Julian, come here, please. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, he doesn't look good.
That's rude. Just because you don't personally find him attractive doesn't mean you need to be so judgmental.
What doesn't make sense, 25580? Let go. Oh, she don't look good either.
I think they already saw that.
The asshole one died. Oh yeah, 255 AD. Yeah, but that's a retcon. I don't worry about that stuff. They didn't think of any of that until later in the series, so I'm not bothered about it at this point. Doctor, it's not going to work. They're aliens, remember? Their hearts are in their butts. Let's just give you a sweet dose of murder. Good thing I brought a pocket full of death juice.
Oh, he keeps it on him.
This kind of thing comes up from time to time. I've learned to be prepared. Well, I've lost patients before, just never all of them at once.
Well, now you know. I mean... Okay, what's wrong with that? It's also not a crime to hope that you have a cure, to think that maybe, to look forward to having a cure. That would be great.
Trevian was right. Death is the way.
Yep, that was pretty arrogant.
That's our Julian. That's just who you are, dude.
What's this maybe?
Maybe.
Or that it doesn't exist just because you can't find it. Yeah, that's also arrogant. Yep.
Anyway, I'm gonna go.
I don't know if somebody's joking about it in the chat, but I'm joking about Julian's arrogance and just self-importance too.
Yeah, well, but it's. I mean, the show is aware of that. Like. Anyway, I would have been a lousy mother, so.
Caitlin, which lady? Use smaller words, dipshit.
Remember, you'll have to be nice to them and treat them like human beings. Okay, good luck.
Good luck with that.
David C. Drake, that's funny. P.S. The disease is passed on by kissing on the cheek. Good luck. Yeah, blood ink. I guess frontier medicine means something different when you come from a technologically advanced utopia.
Oh, okay. So how is allowing her to make that decision okay, but allowing them to make the decision to take something that causes their death not okay? Like choosing suffering is okay, choosing death not okay.
Well, if she chooses death, he won't be able to use her to find the cure.
Mm. Well, Mr. High Love the Ants, they probably do, but he knew it was kind of bumpy. And you know, the way that they're situated with those rounded corners, the wheels get going, they hit a bump and they just tip over, and then it's really not worth the hassle. Yeah, Caitlin. Well, remember, it's the future.
Blood ink. I think this is a species they've never seen before. It's the gamma quadrant. They haven't, explored every inch of it. Wait a minute. This isn't a baby. It's just a mass of hair and teeth.
I don't know. 255 AD, he sounded like he was objecting to the right to die. Blooding? No, I think they noticed that they did a sonogram earlier. Yeah, yeah. She saw the baby and she started referring to it as a boy. So either because of the ultrasound, sonogram, whatever they did,
have you seen where I live?
So, question, because I forget at the end, was that Julian salve that he was putting on her?
I think it was, yeah.
So, he's pretty accepting.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite things about this. Like Trevian is not a villain. Like he seems like a good guy. Yeah.
Well, also, and like I like the fact that he's that he doesn't trust Julian's medicine, but when he sees that something works, he's willing to use it.
Yeah.
I'm certainly glad that not only has she lived this long, but also they didn't talk about the fact that labor is called labor for a reason. I mean, because what if she was, well, I mean, I guess not what if. I mean, surgery is an option, but, if she hadn't been able to deliver the baby. Don't put him too close. He might catch it.
Oh, he's got it now. Whoops. Oh, right on time.
Please tell me he brought him to Trevian to say, "I told you so."
Look at this motherfucker.
Just that much of an ass. I mean, it is also a task.
Because vaccinating people against disease is a noble thing, and anyone who's against it is a huge piece of fucking shit.
The artfully placed cloth.
Andrew says, what do I quote more, Trek or The Simpsons? Probably The Simpsons.
Oh, by the way, all those kids, they're going to die. Those excited, happy children, they're not going to live. They're going to die.
Look, everyone,
let's be clear.
the one healthy baby in the world.
Oh, some of their children will.
The ones that are already here will. Yeah.
I don't suppose we come back to this scene ever again, do we?
I don't think it's referenced in a future episode. No.
No. I mean, we don't see him continuing to work on it ever again.
I don't think so. No. Well, there we have it.
I really liked the concept because it really resonated with me.
Okay.
Minus the hubris, but this is actually something I'm working on with my therapist. Is that
okay?
You can't fix everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes there isn't a fix. And a couple of months ago, she said, you do the best you can, and you just tell yourself for the parts of it that are out of your control, you tell yourself that they're okay. And I didn't say anything because I didn't I didn't think it would be productive to be confrontational, but I'm like, but sometimes that they're not okay. That they're not okay, that they're in a not good situation, and that there's nothing you can do about it. But again, neither helpful nor productive. But as a teacher, you work with students who are, and I mean, I'm sure it's got to be even harder sometimes as a parent. If you have a kid who's struggling with addiction or something like that.
Sure.
You can't make their choices for them. You can't fix the situation. You can't fix them. You can do everything that you can think of, but you can't live somebody else's life for them, and you can't change everything that's going on around them.
Yeah.
And so I've that's why the beginning of the episode I was, and I think really, for as far as we've seen, Bashir has been one of the characters I've rolled my eyes probably the most at.
Yeah.
Because it does somewhat confound me, like how he got this far in his career as a doctor without running up against a situation that he couldn't just fix. Really? And some of that I've just put down to, it's the future. They have all kinds of technology and da-da-da. But
and also it's a show, and if he reaches that moment, it should be something that we see, because it seems like it would be an important, turning point in his life.
Yeah. So and yeah, it's just that this episode could have aired earlier, but like, and also like other characters don't seem to have that assumption, and they're grown-ups also, like, I mean, I don't remember ever having the idea that everything's gonna, I can fix everything. Like, that's just not, that's a failing. Like, if you think you can fix everything, you're just wrong.
Yeah. Well, and I think the show is smart enough that, like, it's like Bashir is written that way consciously. Like, I don't think it's something that the writers of the show are completely unaware of. I mean, that's a lot of what this episode is about, is sort of forcing Bashir to hit that wall. And like, what do you do now, hotshot? You thought you could cure this fucking thing in a week. Now what? Yeah. And I get it but typically their stories are one episode in length. But that was why I made that remark at the end. And we don't see him continuing to work on it, because that like until, I don't know, 30 or 40 years down the road, when everybody with the blight has died anyway, and the rest of them are all vaccinated, then they don't have to worry about it. Then the problem is solved. Right. But for the people in the here and now who are still gonna,
does he just be like, does he work on it for a week and be like, oh well, I guess they'll just get vaccinated and that's the cure? Like, no, you keep working on it until you can't. Like, when I have students who don't turn in their work, or who are absent a lot and don't make up their work, I don't, call home once, remind them once, and be like, oh, just moving on. No,
I did my duty.
Yeah. I keep working on it with them for as long as I have them in class. And, I talk to them until I don't have contact with them anymore. I continue to talk to them about how they're doing. Who's your, which classes do you have this semester? Who are your teachers? What are you learning? Da, da, da. you work on those things every chance you get, and that's part of why it's so exhausting. And I'm betting that we don't ever see any of this again. So it is what it is.
No, but exactly. It's the format of the show. That doesn't bother me at all. I mean,
and that's why I'm okay.
And
with
also,
it. I mean, touched on this, but
yeah, well, and I mean, Deep Space Nine is the most serialized of the older, the previous generation of Star Trek shows. I mean, and
the previous generation,
and it was the best about having its characters actually change and develop over time. Like as much as I love TNG, weren't really very many long-term character arcs on TNG. Like Captain Picard is pretty much the same guy in the last episode that he is in the first episode. Most of the characters are like that. But in Deep Space Nine, the characters actually grow and change and evolve as a result of what happens to them in the show. And Bashir is a really good example of that. He changes of the regulars who are in every episode. He might be the one who changes the most over time. I mean, you could say like Rom and Nog have pretty drastic character arcs, but they're not regulars. They're not in every episode. Bashir is, even if he's not doing something super important in every episode, like his name is in the opening credits, he's in every episode, even if he's just there. Just having a random line.
Just be like
a regular.
Because I'm here.
And he grows and changes and evolves. And he goes from the cocky young doctor who thinks he has all the answers and, has come to this out of the way outpost to, bring civilization and bring healing to these simple backwoods folk, that's sort of his attitude at the beginning. And he sees it as like, this is a great adventure for me to go on, and he sees things in very self-centered terms, and he gradually grows beyond that as the show goes on. And this episode is a big stopping point in that growth. That's, I mean, one of the things
I can see parallels in teaching, especially as an English teacher, because there's a lot of dialogue about, helping students find there is a book that is right for them at however old they are, whatever point in their journey as readers that they are. There's a book that will help them learn, sort of unlock things. They'll connect with it and they will love reading. But and for some people, if you say something that contradicts that, then especially it's just kind of not kosher. But I am, as much as I love reading and as much as I love, it delights me when students, especially students who don't see themselves as readers, who haven't chosen to read a book in a long time, when they find a book that they actually enjoy, that's awesome. But the truth is, as long as you have the capability to read well, to understand what you need in terms of reading, I'm good. That's good. Not, that there's so much else out there to enjoy, that if reading is not what you enjoy, then I am perfectly fine with that. We see things differently. I was going to say, if you don't like pie, that's fine. That one I might have to fight somebody on. But if somebody
don't like
I
pie?
Sushi, or if they didn't
what is wrong with you?
I can understand not liking every single form of potatoes, but if they don't like potatoes at all.
But if you're just crossing potatoes in general off the list, then you're like, what? Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
Yeah, and I can't help wondering, what kinds of potatoes have you had? And did somebody were they slightly rotted? Because rotted potatoes, if you ate those,
or maybe they've only had the mashed potatoes from the TV dinner that just come in the one little square, and they never heat up as well as the rest of it. They're always colder in the middle than the rest of the stuff, and you're just and you're just like, this isn't good. Why do they make the potatoes like this? And if that's the only kind of mashed potatoes you've ever,
potatoes,
if that's the only potatoes you've ever had,
let me open your world to potatoes. But with reading, it's there's music, there's sports, there's hiking, there's, television, there's film, there's all kinds of stuff out there to enjoy. And if you know, the time that I spend reading is time that I don't spend playing video games because I suck at video games. And that's something that I don't get to enjoy. That is something that my life will always lack. So I'm never going to be good at video games because I choose to spend my time doing other things.
How will you ever go on?
But in the same time, in the same thing, if somebody else really enjoys playing video games and doesn't really enjoy reading, and they choose to spend their pleasure time doing what they like and not pleasure reading, and I'm fine with that, right. And there are teachers, and especially English teachers, who would at me, but I think it's more practical to celebrate that's another kind of diversity, that people like different things. Sure. And that's healthy, and people that's like different from, and that's different from having the capability to read, because that's the one thing that I'm just like,
yeah,
you don't want to practice reading because you don't like reading, and I understand that, but you don't read well and you don't understand things when you read them, and that's going to be a challenge for you going forward.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned 255 AD said the difference is you're not duty bound to go to the opposite side of the galaxy from your students after a month. No, but after a few months, they're no longer in my direct circle, and after a few years, they're gone. And I mean, they're presumably still on this planet. That doesn't mean I'll ever see them again.
Presumably. Patrick Smith says, dude, stir the potatoes and add 2 minutes. Well, what help is that to me now, Patrick? What help is that to me now?
Because do you still eat TV dinners, Steve?
No, I don't. I haven't had a TV dinner and I don't even know how long. So thanks for nothing, Patrick.
Because you're a professional YouTuber and you can do better.
That's right. That. And I eat actually, usually I'm having a slightly different kind of pizza tonight. Usually I have a DiGiorno margarita pizza. Delicious. But tonight I'm having DiGiorno. I'm having a DiGiorno stuffed crust 4-cheese single, because can you guess why?
So there's no leftovers because you have Thanksgiving tomorrow?
That is the exact right answer.
Such a good guesser. Such a good guesser.
It's not a guess. It's a logic. No, it's not a guess. It's a logical deduction. You made a logical deduction. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I'm having Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to have leftovers from that. So I don't want to have pizza leftovers on top of Thanksgiving leftovers. No. Yeah, no.
Oh, Spock would approve of me.
Spock would be like, you have done well. Yeah. He'd give you one of these. Spock would be like, high five.
Oh, golly.
Oh man, if I was Leonard Nimoy, I would have been doing that shit all day. People would have hated me. If anytime anybody on the set would have made a good point or done something cool, I'd have been like, "Oh man, that is awesome! Hey, up top,
high five!"
Hey, come on. And they would be like, "All right, just fucking stop."
Other ADHD doesn't necessarily affect reading. Because it's not a cognitive or linguistic issue. Now, reading can be something. I mean, watch the opening of the animated Beauty and the Beast. You could be, if you move it around, you keep moving, just get into the story while you go. So it doesn't have to be, but it can, especially in a school setting where you're not supposed to be running around, especially holding anything. It can make it more difficult, and students are expected to be still. And students with ADHD, or people with ADHD, not always the students, sometimes it's also the teacher, can struggle with that. So almost 7:30.
Yes.
Sounds like it's time for Wordle.
Shall we play Wordle?
Yes, let's.
Let's do it. All right, everybody. So you know how this works if you've been with us before, and just in case you haven't done this with us before, we're going to play Wordle together. Dana will be taking the lead in terms of what words we guess, but Dana is not actually seeing the Wordle board. She is going by my description of it. Now, you will all see the Wordle board in just a moment. There it is.
I'm using my imagination.
Dane is using her imagination. So we can play this together as a group in the chat. The only thing we ask is if you know the answer to today's Wordle, if you have already solved it, please do not give it away. Other than that, let's all play Wordle together.
If you use a word suggesting site,
yes, no
give
cheats.
Us any hints. Don't give us any hints. Don't give us any word suggestions. No. Now, if you want to look it up so that you know, and you can just be like, oh, I know, then go for it. But
of course,
no hints, no suggestions, unless you haven't actually had any help. So we're going in cold.
Absolutely. So, shall we begin with your customary opener?
Yes. As David C. Drake says.
Heart.
Mm-hmm.
H-E-A-R-T. And that gives us, oh boy, okay. Heart gives us an E in the wrong place, and that's it.
Woo! Let's go on with lions. And then I'm going to add into Caitlin. It's not just with ADHD, it can also be an issue of staying on task as well. And yes, it does create some difficulties in especially with longer works. But you ready? Is lions in?
Yes, I am. Yes, we are in slightly better shape now.
Oh, good. Do tell.
Lions gives us an L in the wrong place and an I in the right place. So we know the second letter is I, and we know there's an E and an L in there somewhere. So we've got some blocks to build on here.
Well, I was going to say miles, but no S.
That's true, yeah.
But it could be yeah, I can't think of another thing that goes at the end. And it can't be riled.
Right, because no R.
But it could be ED at the end. ILED.
Yes, it could, yes.
So.
You want to try rile just to see if.
No.
Okay. It could be piled.
Yes, let's try pile.
We don't know if there's a P. Okay, let's try pile.
We don't know if there's a P or a D, and that also gives us to.
Yeah. All right, let's try piled. P-I-L-E-D. Not it, but we're close.
Are the I and the L in the wrong? No, the I is in the right place.
No, okay. Now, here's what we know now, okay? There's a P in the right place.
Okay.
So it's P-I. The E is the second to last letter, but there is no D. So the L has to be the last letter. So it's P-I something E-L. P-I something E-L. Pixel. It's got to be pixel.
There you go. You got to it faster than I can. Yeah. I'm going through.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, wait, what letters do we have left?
Oh, okay, let's try. Got it. Maybe before we did, based on that.
I think this has got to be it, but let's just see for sure. Let's see if it's pixel. It is pixel.
Yay, team us! And yeah, Patrick Smith, H.B. Haga, David Corden are like, oh, pixel. They're all typing
pixel
as best they can. Yay!
Guys, it's pixel. Awesome.
Azalea Jane. Brilliant.
Azalea Jane, that's good. And that's just what you going back to what you were talking about earlier, Dan. Different, people have
although I will say my immediate thought was like, no, for my students, it's their goals is there is no F. I'm like, no, they want the D. And then I was like, oh.
I mean, they probably do, a lot of them, like.
I thought it before, and then I caught myself.
They're at that age.
Oh, okay. So it was like layered.
Well, no, like I was saying, I mean, there is no D. It's not a goal for me, but it's a goal for some people, and I think that's terrific. I would say different strokes for different folks, but is that appropriate?
That's also inappropriate. Maybe. Hey, it's your channel. You get to say what goes.
So
us if you want to.
You're goddamn right I can.
And you do.
So
actually I cussed earlier. Nobody mentioned
what did you I didn't catch it.
I
What
don't
did
know.
you say?
I noticed it.
You don't know.
Like,
you know you cussed, but you can't remember what.
It was a mild. Oh, I forget things. We know this. It was a very mild cuss, and I was like that.
A mild cuss.
Why under the radar there?
All right, so we will be back next week to do this with Poirot. Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie's Poirot. And the episode of Poirot we will be watching next week is The Adventure of the Western Star. Does that ring a bell?
Yes! Yes! I know this one!
Oh, great.
I know it!
Okay, sweet. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Next week, and then they'll be like, oh, I know this one all over again.
So that's 255 AD. No one has ever been like, what are you doing with your hand? Yeah, I mean, this is pretty universally known, I think. I mean, I think most people will be like, oh, that's the fucking Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, if you do this, then people don't realize it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles hand.
Oh, yeah.
Turtle hand.
Because they have the big middle finger.
Yep. Because that's exactly how the glove fits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak from experience, 255 AD, because I don't do this to people. Like, I'm not doing Star Trek stuff all the time.
Missed opportunity, my dude.
So, well, But anyway, yes, HB Haga, Poirot. Excuse me, Mr. Hercule Poirot.
I'm hunting criminals.
I need you to help me find a wabbit.
Oh, actually, I'm looking for a murderer.
I'm looking for a murderer. Anyway, so that's next week. And then the week after that, we're back to Deep Space Nine. And the Deep Space Nine episode we're watching next, it is the second to last episode of season 4. And it's a show called Body Parts. So that's in 2 weeks. When we get back to Deep Space Nine. Next week is Poirot, and it's The Adventure of the Western Star. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, also known.
Oh, I know.
Yes, you.
As the day when we get to watch the long video of Steve and Stuffy and Jack watching a movie and talking about it.
Yes. Or also known as Turkey Day.
Yes. Oh yeah, that.
So tomorrow is Turkey Day. Tomorrow is a Thanksgiving tradition, the Stuffy Turkey Day video, where Stuffy and myself, like you said, and Jack we watch something Mystery Science Theater style, and riff on it in the grand tradition of Mystery Science Theater. And so the 2023 Turkey Day special with Stuffy and Friends goes up on this channel tomorrow. It premieres.
It's already posted.
Yes, it premieres at noon. So if you are available at noon Eastern and you want to watch it premiere and, join me in the chat and whatever, that's great. If you can't make it at noon, that's okay, because after that, it's just up as a regular video and you can watch it whenever the hell you want. And I hope that you do, because I'm very pleased with how this year's Turkey Day video turned out. So I hope you enjoy that tomorrow at noon Eastern or whenever you... Huh?
Does the title say what movie it is?
No, but it makes a reference to what movie it is. The official title of the Turkey Day special this year is the 2023 Turkey Day Miracle.
Oh! Okay.
And from that and the thumbnail, you can probably figure it out, but just in case you can't, just, it's revealed in literally the opening few seconds of the video. So it's not like I'm being super cute with it, but anyway, yeah, so that's tomorrow. And also there will also be a Star Trek retro review going up tomorrow as usual. I recorded it earlier this week, so I wouldn't have to do it tomorrow. and I wouldn't have to skip
other
it.
Responsibilities
because I'm busy tomorrow. Actually I'm probably leaving here as soon as the Stuffy premiere is over. I will be heading straight over to Dad's for Thanksgiving. But David, shh, quiet, hush now.
Hey, they can guess.
Actually, technically, and you'll appreciate this, Dana, speaking with the greatest of precision, it's not Miracle on 34th Street.
Precision matters, Steve. So let's also not forget that after tomorrow is Thursday. After Thursday comes Friday.
That's
and
right.
This
Black Friday.
And nobody cares. Well, I guess there are people who care. I don't care about that. We don't care about that. Instead, this Friday, more importantly, is Ask Away. So if you are a channel member or a patron supporter, you can send in your ask as long as it's fewer than 1,000 characters. Steve will read it during the show and respond to it first.
Indeed.
And you don't have to worry about that character limit in the chat or like the delay, although there is a delay because you actually have to wait for the show. But yes, Steve will answer your question first.
That's right.
Actually,
right.
I mean, not first anymore unless you've already sent it in. Probably.
Yeah, but in the first part of the show.
Yes, in the first section of the show.
And Caitlin, thank you for the reminder as well. Don't forget charitylinks.page.
In the description. Very important because we have friends who could use some help, and that would be super great. And as you noted, the entertainment industry strikes are over. Hooray.
That's right. And if you are, situated well enough that you can help out someone in need, it is about to be the holiday season, and the holidays are, as Dickens says in A Christmas Carol, a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. So, there you go.
Yeah. I think that's a good note to close on.
Indeed. Oh, here's another one. Me no other. There is no Lower Decks review. I'm not doing one. So don't be waiting on it because I'm not doing one. Big
surprise there.
I barely did. You know what my Lower Decks review for the previous season was? I just posted a clip of me talking about it on Ask Away because somebody said, "What'd you think of Lower Decks this year?" And I was like, "Okay, here's what I thought." And then I said, "I'll just post this as a separate clip." And there you go. You want to know what I thought about it? It's right there. So
there you go.
Anyway, so yes,
I can give your Lower Decks review. He didn't like it.
I didn't like it. I think I laughed once in 10 episodes. So there's your Lower Decks review. I've laughed once out of 10 episodes. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving tomorrow to those of you who celebrate it. And I will see you on Friday for Ask Away. And then we'll see you next week for Poirot. So, and hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow for the Stuffy premiere. But if not, hopefully you'll watch it at some point because I really think you'll dig it. No, me no other. I watched it. I didn't like it. I watched it and I didn't like it. I said
he thought he wouldn't like it. He watched it anyway.
I watched all of it. I didn't like it. I watched all 10 episodes. I laughed once. Remember I said that? That was for this season. At least they're only 30 minutes apiece.
I'm the peace out kind of person. I'm like
they're 30 minutes apiece, you know? So it's not like a super long episode. 10 episodes, half an hour each. Yeah.
I won't finish watching one episode if I don't like it. No.
You're wiser than I. You're wiser than I. All right.
You know what, Steve?
Oh, what?
You're right.
Oh, and that's the note to end on. That's the note to end on. All right, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Have a happy Thanksgiving. See you on Friday.